Primates are one of the few types of organisms that display signs of higher intelligence. But even within the primate group, there are lines between those that display higher level thinking and those that display on-level thinking. The key to these differences lies within the ratio of brain mass to body mass, where smaller ratios correlate to higher level thinking. Humans have the smallest brain to body mass ratio of primates. But why is this the case? My name is Emma, and along with my group mates Richard, Kane, and Karthik, we came upon this question and decided to do a little research to answer it.
Before we researched the answer to our questions, though, we needed to understand the topic of evolution, as it is what led to the differentiation between humans and other primates. Simply put, evolution is descent with modification. One of the key pieces of descent with modification is natural selection, and it is vital for evolution to occur. Natural selection is the concept that organisms pass down certain traits to their offspring based on that trait's effect on the fitness and the survival of that organism.
The traits that are passed down to offspring usually are beneficial, which explains why alleles continue to be passed down from parent to offspring over generations. If negative traits are passed down, however, they will most likely be selected against, and thus the trait will likely be eliminated from the gene pool.
When we look at humans, we see that brain size has actually evolved over time. The increase in the ratio between brain mass and body mass has helped differentiate Homo sapiens from other primate species over the course of history. The resulting advantages to survival and the sacrifices endured from it have shaped humans today and set apart our species from the rest.
Now, with an understanding of what evolution is, our group was able to start researching why exactly humans have the smallest brain to body mass ratio. During our research, we came upon a paper called Metabolic Constraint Imposes Trade-off Between Body Size and Number of Brain Neurons in Human Evolution by Carina Fonseca Azevedo and Susana Herculano Ozel. The paper examined the amount of time each type of primate spends eating and the resulting brain to body mass ratio. But before we get into the specifics of the experiment, let's introduce an important part of their experiment, Kleiber's Law.
In the 1930s, Max Kleiber noted that an animal's metabolic rate scales to 3/4 power of the animal's mass. The authors of this paper used this law to estimate the total energy expenditure of several primate species. Derivations of this formula were used throughout the paper to call into question where most of this energy was used in primates and humans.
Energy expenditure in the brain is calculated by measuring the amount of glucose being metabolized. As neuron count increases, glucose metabolism also increases. This is the cornerstone for the hypothesis that metabolic constraints lead to the divergent evolution of Homo sapiens from other primates. In order for humans to evolve a larger brain, they had to be able to increase the energy input into their bodies. With the discovery of fire in cooked food, Homo erectus was able to reduce the amount of hunting done, saving energy. Additionally, cooked food was able to provide more calories than raw food. Thus, calorie intake for humans increased, leading to the increased production of neurons in the human brain.
Due to an increase in use and function of neurons, less energy was provided to the rest of the human body, explaining humans' smaller size relative to other primates. This concept is known as the expensive tissue hypothesis and can be used along with the increase in calorie intake to explain why humans were able to evolve a decreased brain-to-body mass ratio. In this experiment specifically, the researchers used 17 different primate species with ranging body-to-brain mass ratios. They then calculated each of the species' daily metabolic cost using Kleiber's law. The average energy cost of the brain for each species was calculated by multiplying the energy cost of individual neurons by the total number of neurons in each brain, which was experimentally determined. Energy intake was then measured based on the number of hours spent feeding.
The research team discovered that the estimated energy input needed by primates forms a linear relationship with body mass. This required energy intake in kilocalories per hour is equal to 25.352 times body mass to the 0.526. These values were determined mathematically by taking the estimated energy needed from Kleiber's law divided by the hours of feeding per day. The daily energy input needed for an organism to survive is the sum of the metabolic cost of the body, determined by the body mass, and the metabolic cost of the brain, determined by the number of neurons. The research
created using Powtoon.